welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano, and on today's program, yes, it's all about back to school. We're sitting down with the Quincy School Superintendent and Assistant Superintendent to get all the details about the new school year coming up next week. First, though, as always, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, some hazy sunshine out there. It's 70 degrees right now. The clouds will increase throughout the day today, with highs in the mid-70s. Cloudy this evening, maybe a shower late, lows tonight in the lower 60s, but the showers arrive tomorrow off and on. Not a complete washout, but it will be kind of gray and damp with a spot shower here and there tomorrow, highs in the lower 70s. Looks like a pretty wet, stormy Wednesday for a change, with some thunderstorms around, kind of humid too, with highs Wednesday in the upper 70s, but look at Thursday, just a gorgeous end to August with lots of sunshine, just a few clouds, much drier too on Thursday with highs in the low 70s. Again, some hazy sunshine, 70 in Quincy right now. Checking news for you today, Quincy officials are hoping that the U.S. Coast Guard reverses its recent approval of a plan by the city of Boston to rebuild the Long Island Bridge. City leaders met with Coast Guard representatives and Congressman Stephen Lynch last week to urge the Coast Guard not to approve the clearance that a new bridge would provide for marine traffic. A Quincy Ward 6 City Councilor William Harris says the old bridge was never intended to become a main access road for Long Island.
The bridge was built not for the hospital. The bridge was built by the Army Corps of Engineers, and I believe just for the missile silos that we had out on Long Island. It was never intended for the
day-to-day
hospital
use of the hospital.
Right.
Okay.
So since like 1931, when the hospital was for tuberculosis, communicable diseases, that hospital was being serviced by boat, and that included all of everything that a hospital needs, from staffing to, and they had it right. They had it right in 1931. You would think that almost 90 years later, that they can't figure out how to get a ferry system out there when they did it. They used to do it in ancient times.
Quincy officials continue to argue in court that a new bridge would generate dangerous traffic through North Quincy and Squantum and also harm the marine life in Boston Harbor. Boston, though, is moving forward with plans to renovate 11 buildings on Long Island for a substance use recovery center. 3 new residential developments have been approved in Quincy. Zoning Board of Appeals last week approved proposals for a 6-story, 53-unit residential building on Hancock Street in Wollaston and a 4-story, 27-unit building right around the corner on Wentworth Road. Attorney Ed Fleming, representing the Marion Group, said the developments will clean up a blighted area.
But the market that's operated there hasn't been a good neighbor for the city, hasn't been a good neighbor for the church. The parking lot that they used under lease was supposed to be maintained. It was very rarely maintained or cleaned. There were typically carts on the lot. And the market actually had the right to use the entire parking lot. So it interfered with church parking at times, and it became somewhat problematic. During our due diligence, we went and met with the pastor at St. Anne's Church and the woman who was the head of the real estate division of the church, and we had a great meeting with both of them. And we've worked out an agreement with the church that my client, if he's approved at this site, will maintain the parking lot. He'll have the right to use about 15 spaces in the lot to supplement the parking that he'll provide himself, but he's going to maintain the landscaping as it goes up the hill to St. Anne's, and he's going to clean the parking lot. In fact, we just hired, just the other day, Matt Nichols from Nichols Landscaping to go and clean the site because it hadn't been cleaned in a while by the market or the prior owner.
The zoning board also approved plans by developer Sean Galvin to tear down his 2-story professional building at 21 Totman Street in South Quincy and replace that with a 4-story 32-unit condo building. Property was rezoned from industrial to residential use. Well, the Quincy City Clerk's office is busy preparing for the November 7th city election. City Clerk Nicole Crispo says the ballots will be ready soon and that there will be early and mail-in voting for the election.
We're working on the ballot as we speak, and we'll get that out to our vendor, and we hope to have them sooner than later. Probably, at least 5 to 6 weeks before the election. So either late September or the first week in October. The requested by mail ballots will go out. You do have to request a by mail ballot for this election. And we will also have early voting for this election here at City Hall starting October 28th, which is a Saturday. It is also the last day to register to vote. So if you haven't done that, you can go onto the Secretary of State's website, register there. You can call our office at 617-376-1144. Happy to send you out a voter registration by mail, or you can come in and register up until October 28th at 5 p.m. And then we'll have early voting here up until November 3rd, 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday here at the Clerk's Department. I don't think we're going to do it over in the chamber. We'll be able to handle it here within the department.
And in-person voting will take place on November 7th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Crispo is also urging the almost 27,000 residents who haven't turned in their city census forms to get them in ASAP because they have already been placed on the inactive voter list. She says inactive voters will have to show identification at the polls before being allowed to vote. Well, a virtual public hearing will be held tomorrow to talk about improving safety at the intersection of Willard Street and Raschuti Drive in West Quincy. The State Department of Transportation is hosting the virtual meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. The intersection has gained increased attention recently as the city of Quincy considers leasing the Granite Links Golf Club property to Quarry Hills Associates for 99 years. Quarry Hills has said they hope to develop at least one hotel at that site. The state says the intersection is the 5th most dangerous in Massachusetts. Some money was included in the new state budget to address safety concerns at the intersection, and some proponents have called for the installation of a temporary traffic signal to help improve safety. It's our check of news for you today. Coming up, Quincy School Superintendent Kevin Mulvey and Assistant Superintendent Erin Perkins will be joining us next. Welcome back. Hard to believe Labor Day is 1 week from today, and then after that it is back to school here in the city of Quincy. A lot of districts actually going back this week. There'll be some activity this week in the Quincy Public School buildings, but students are back next week, so it's a perfect time to bring the superintendent and assistant superintendent back for our what's become an annual back to school update. So Kevin Mulvey, Erin Perkins, welcome.
Well, good to see you, Joe. Thanks for having us back again.
Absolutely. This is a great opportunity to let folks know what they can expect for the upcoming school year. Hard to believe that summer has come and gone so quickly. But let's talk, Kevin, I guess a little bit about how summer has gone for the folks in the Quincy school system.
Yes, summer's been busy,
Yeah.
very busy. We've been busy hiring staff all the way from our new administrators that I can talk about today, as well as our teaching staff and our paraprofessionals and custodians, just all in an effort to get the schools ready to go for our students and families when they return
Yeah.
after Labor Day.
Has there been quote-unquote summer school or whatever it's called these days?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
okay.
had a very, very successful summer school. Thanks to the mayor and school committee, they funded a summer school program for us in excess of $500,000, which allowed us to do enrichment and remediation for our students. And Erin can talk about how many students we had in that program, but I know that the students and families really greatly appreciated the programming that we had, particularly our enrichment and our remediation programs. But Erin can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, how did it go, Erin?
I think it was an awesome summer. I
Really?
think we had a really great summer in Quincy Public Schools, and as Kevin said, we serviced about 1,500 students over the summer. There was something for everyone. And I think that it's really something that we're very, very proud of in the city of Quincy, what we offer for our children, even during breaks, even during vacations. We're able to do that, you know, as a result of the support of the mayor and the school committee. And I think it's not something you see in every district, the kind of programming that we had. We had theater programs. We had, our Quest program at Beechwood Knoll, which was completely full, the whole building full. We had our Bridge to Reading in Math. So we had literally something for every student, and we're very proud of that, and we're very thankful for the staff and the administrators that worked the program and made it possible.
I was just going to say there was this, grave misconception that teachers are off all summer. Not so
Yeah.
much. So.
No, we probably, I want to say it was maybe 200 staff
Wow.
we employed over the summer, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty extensive program. I would say it rivaled opening school.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Oh,
opening,
absolutely.
opening those programs. We used multiple buildings, and everyone helped the custodial staff
Yes,
make
yeah.
it possible because they, kind of have to hold off to do their summer cleaning until after we're done. And so the transportation office, everybody comes together so that we're able to offer great programming for our students throughout the summer.
That's great. How does that compare to years past? 1,500 this year as compared to a couple of years ago.
It's pretty big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a few years ago, prior to COVID, we probably had maybe around 400-ish
Oh, wow. Okay.
students
All right.
that we would provide summer programming to, maybe 5.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about tripled,
See that, yeah.
what we would have typically done. And I think that, again, we have a very committed mayor and school committee to continuing, educational opportunities, whether that's enrichment or support over the summer for
Yes.
those students and families that need it. And so we are able to actually be really creative and offer, we have civics learning opportunities. We have a lot of different things that I think we would not be able to offer if we didn't have that support.
Sure, absolutely. You can't have a program without folks to teach it, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and folks to
Yeah.
administer it. So
Yep.
very good. Kevin, you mentioned there are some administrative staff
Yes.
changes.
So
Yeah.
when students and families return, they'll see some new faces and some old faces. So we have a new director of curriculum, Michael Marani, who was the former principal of Broadmeadows Middle School, who's come up to the main office, and we thank Mr. Marani for taking on that big responsibility and working with us in school committee to make sure we give the very best curriculum to our students. Replacing Mr. Marani at Broadmeadows Middle School will be a well-known person within the school system. Principal Nicholas Ahern from Clifford Marshall Elementary School will be coming up to take over the middle school principalship at Broadmeadows. Mr. Ahern is an excellent principal, as all the parents know, so he'll continue the tradition of excellence at Broadmeadows. And for Mr. Ahern's replacement at Clifford Marshall Elementary School, Heather Patch, as assistant principal, will be promoted to acting principal at Clifford Marshall School, and she'll be doing a great job, as she has done as the assistant principal at Clifford Marshall for a number of years. And lastly, we have a new special education coordinator, Jennifer Leary, who will be joining us at Coddington, servicing special education students district-wide. So it's a great team, and we're very excited to have them all on board. They're dedicated, and they serve our students and families very well.
Speaking of special education, I want to jump ahead here because I think it's really important to talk about the Rick DeChristofauer Early Learning Center.
Yes, the Dr. Rick DeChristofauer
Of
Learning
course.
Center. Yes. So we're very excited. We've been working with the mayor and his team, Paul Hines, has been supervising the construction of that building. We're super excited. We've been monitoring its progress since its inception. We intend to have, at the moment, we're planning on having a opening ceremony for that school on October 22nd. Details to follow with regard to timing, but we're looking at that October 22nd date. The building is coming along very, very nicely. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility for our students, particularly with autism, and it will be a real, I think, game changer for our students and our families here in Quincy. I think our students and families will be very, very excited, and our staff as well, to see this beautiful building when it opens. Again, it's a state-of-the-art facility that was really spearheaded by the mayor and the school committee, looking at the needs of our students with autism here in Quincy. And making sure that we built the very best facility for those students. We're excited to see the building open, and then the process for beginning programming there. So that could potentially begin as early as January for perhaps our pre-K students, but we want to make sure our families are comfortable with a mid-year transition. Certainly students in our CARES programs, that transition would not happen probably this year. It would happen most likely in September, just because those students typically do well in a setting where transitions are kept to a minimum. So we'd be looking at potentially transitioning those students in September. We certainly want to make sure that we give our families the opportunity to tour the building and make decisions about their student placement before any transitions occur. And so we're hoping that, tours could begin as early as November, December, opening up to the public to showcase the facility, and they will see how we've, thanks to Mrs. Perkins and her team, that's her expertise in special education, that the facility really has taken into consideration all the needs that students with autism would require. And obviously we looked at other facilities and took from other facilities around the state to make sure that we really had the most modern, most state-of-the-art programming and facility for our students. So it's a work in progress, and we look forward to working with our students, our families, and our staff in making that transition as comfortable and as efficient as possible moving forward.
So this really jumped ahead quickly. It was not scheduled to really open until the fall of 2024.
Exactly. Yes, and I know that the mayor and Mr. Hines and his team have really been pushing to get this school opened, so that gives us the greatest opportunity to showcase it to our families.
Yes.
And obviously have our staff a part of that transition, so that everyone knows in reviewing the building that it is something that hopefully will be a great benefit to their students.
Yeah. Aaron, can you maybe talk a little bit about who the students are that will be attending the center? How many of them? Do you need additional staff, support services to get this program up and running?
Yeah, so it will be primarily for students with autism, K to 8.
K to 8.
At least to start, and then we do have space that we could possibly go to 12, but I think to start, we'll start with our K to 8 students, and then also pre-K. So we'll have a mixture of our integrated classes and our CARES classes, which is our classes for students with autism. I think we're shooting for around 350 students. And we are hoping that some of our families, once we have an opportunity, as the superintendent said, to showcase the building, bring families in, meet with families, that it really will be an opportunity for some of our students who, maybe go to placements that are really far away, where children have to spend an hour or more on a vehicle, will be wanting to hopefully transition their child to the Learning Center.
That's important. It's voluntary, right?
It is voluntary, yep. And we'll absolutely be working with families. I think it is going to be a really amazing place. I think it's an amazing opportunity for our city and for our students and our families in our city. These are families who, don't necessarily get to have that sense of community in their home school, and now they are going to have a home school in Quincy. We we built a parent center right in the school. We're working with places like Quincy After School to develop a relationship where we can offer some integrated programming after school for our students, and also the Quincy Aftercare students.
Okay.
We will be talking about staff this year and what we need to make sure that the building runs smoothly. We want it to be designed for students with autism in mind, obviously, and so what that looks like for staffing, if we need to increase, it'll be something that we work with the mayor, the school committee, and the superintendent.
Will the grades be segregated within the building, or how does that work?
Yeah, great question. There's different wings.
Okay.
It's really beautiful,
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. And so there's different wings. Every wing has a theme. Like
Oh.
we have an underwater theme.
Okay.
And, it's really just the colors were purposefully selected
Yeah.
to be calming colors.
There's a
and
lot of sensory thought that has to go into this particular age group, right? This particular
absolutely.
student set,
In
yeah.
that we actually have a sensory room,
Oh.
that will be dedicated just to that idea
Yeah.
of students with sensory needs having a place to kind of come and de-escalate, or just take a minute if they need it. And we also have, and I know the superintendent was a huge advocate of, a full service kitchen, which is amazing because we do have students with sensory issues or sensory concerns, and especially that can impact their diet. And so having the ability to really tailor our menu to those students and trying to introduce them to new foods, new textures, I think is something that we're very excited about, and also wanted to make sure we incorporated within the building.
Yeah. Now, will this be their sole place of education every day?
Yes.
This is their school.
It will be their school,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we do have plans. We are working on developing a really thoughtful way to also work on inclusion when students are ready. So I'm working with the staff from the Learning Center, the Christopher Learning Center, and working on building up gradual transition. We will still have CARES classes within our buildings, for those students who are ready to fully transition and be in an inclusive setting.
Okay.
But we are really designing and modeling this building after the social collaborative.
Oh, okay.
And places like that.
Yes,
So
yes.
so that ability to minimize the transitions between pre-K and K, and then 5 and 6, which is really typically where we have a hard time. Students, this is students that struggle with transitions.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking too. So much of the school life is also the social aspect.
Yeah.
Extracurricular activities, sporting activities. So to be able to have maybe their own athletic team or their own drama group, or something
Yeah.
like that they can call their own, right? It's a big part of the school experience, so they can be able to call themselves. I'm a DeChristopher Early Learning Center student as opposed to, I don't know, I'm a Southwest Middle School student or what have you.
Yeah.
So it gives them a base.
It definitely does,
Yeah.
and I think, also just with those teams, maybe looking at ways where we can take those extracurricular opportunities, like an after-school program or something like that, and try to weave in the idea of inclusion, because that's a less structured, less formal time where we can really build up a student's ability to, be in an inclusive setting and work together, and be a great member of our community,
Yeah.
which is eventually what we want for all of our kids.
We could do a whole show just on this. So
Yeah.
we'll have to have you back when it's open and
Absolutely.
get an update. But Kevin, another, of course, big project facing the school system is possibly a new Squantum Elementary School.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. Another exciting program. As probably most people know, we have been approved by the Mass School Building Authority to build a new Squantum Elementary School. Our enrollment, projected enrollment for that school will be around 380 students.
Wow.
So it is a very exciting program. We have a community meeting scheduled for September 14th at 6:30 at the Squantum Elementary School Gymnasium, so that the community can come and give us ideas and express their opinions about what the new school should look like, and the programming and the grounds and the actual facility itself. So we're looking forward to getting community feedback on that. We have selected the design team per MSBA, Mass School Building Authority regulations. We have selected a architect It's Arrow Street is the architect.
okay.
They've built a lot of highly impressive schools throughout the state, so we're very fortunate to have them on board as our architect. We have visited some of the schools that they have already done. We visited, Erin and Mrs. Perkins and I visited the Hildreth School in Harvard, Mass., as well as the Shaw School in Middlebury, Mass., that they were responsible for doing. Very beautiful schools, so we got some exciting ideas from those schools. I think when the process is complete, we'll have the involvement of all stakeholders, which is the purpose of this meeting on September 14th. And together we can build a school that the community will be very proud of.
First day of school, Wednesday, September 6th for grades 1 through 9. Thursday, September 7th, grades 10 through 12. September 11th for kindergarten and pre-kindergarten. You need bus drivers.
Yes, a public service announcement. Thank you,
Yes.
Joe, for that. We need bus drivers and bus monitors. We can always use paraprofessionals as well, lunch attendants.
Okay.
So anyone interested in a school position, whether it be a teacher or a custodian or a bus driver or a lunch attendant, please feel free to contact the Human Resource Office or call my office directly. We'll get you in touch with the right people, and we could certainly use the help. And there are excellent jobs available for at all levels for anyone interested.
All right. Thank you both. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much,
having
Joe.
us.
You are welcome.
Appreciate
It's a
it.
pleasure. We'll see you again throughout the school year.
Great. Thank you.
And just enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day today. Kind of what you see is what you get out there. Mix of sun and clouds, highs in the mid-70s this afternoon. Maybe a shower tonight, lower 60s. Definitely some showers tomorrow and definitely a washout on Wednesday. But it looks really nice here on Thursday. Thanks again to Kevin Mulvey, Erin Perkins for joining us from Quincy Public Schools. Thank you to our crew. Thank you for watching. Friday, it's Walter Hubley here from the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association. Meantime, go to our website, qatv.org. You'll find our latest programs, news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and a whole lot more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great week.